One thing that I used to see a lot in TU5 and TU4 was the use of LMGs, right? But come to TU6, not a lot of people been using the LMGs, and I believe it's because of the nerf that most of the LMGs got, with an exception of one that I did not see a nerf on the patch note at least, which is the MG5. This gun used to be my favorite since Style Update 5 because of the mag that I found out that you can put on it from the Specialization the gunner, right? So you can make that LMG going from 50 rounds to 100 rounds on a single mag. And on this build I took a chance to insert the new perfectly unbreakable Talon chest piece that I found not too long ago. So I took a chance and made a build that I feel like it's a good spot right now to show you guys, because I enjoy the build right now. It's great for PVE and I'm just having a lot of fun with it, and I want to see you guys' reaction to it and let me know what you guys think of it, right? So let's get into the build. Now for this build, as I mentioned, we're gonna be using the Specialization the gunner, and for few reasons. One of the reasons is gonna be this Talon right here. Killing enemies grant 10% armor on kill. So 10% armor on kill is gonna add up to what we have on the build itself, and it's gonna give us more armor on kill. Also, we have on the gunner this Talon right here that's called Barrage. Rate of fire increased by 5% on kills for 5 seconds, which is really good. That's basically gonna up your DPS. And also, like I said, we have this mod right here for your LMG. After you give all the damage on your LMG, 15% LMG damage, you're gonna unlock this one right here. That's basically a large punch that gives you 50 rounds for your MG5. Now moving on for the build, guys, this is gonna be the build, right? We have in here a LMG build that's hitting hard. It has 93% damage to elite. We have 93% weapon damage before the Talon on the backpack, which is called the Spark, which is another 15% on top of that 93% weapon damage. And then we have also a 25% armor on kill on this build. So we have survivability and we have damage, right? So I'm gonna show you guys the build piece by piece, and as I go I will explain the reason why, right? So for this build we're gonna have 2 Badger Tough. By having 2 Badger Tough, we have 7% damage to elite and 15% armor on kill. We have 2 Gilligard. It's not necessary to be a Gilligard, but the reason why I have 2 is because Gilligards gives you so much mods and attributes, right? And we need a lot of attributes on this build. As you see, we have 10 reds and 11 blues. We need that 11 blues and at least 9 reds. So we have 2 Gilligards. By having 2 Gilligards, we get 5% total armor and 20% hazard protection. We have 1 Murakami Industries that give us 8% health. And last but not least, which is essential for this build, Petra of Defense, 10% LMG damage as a bonus of the brand set. Now let's start off piece by piece, which is the mask. For this mask, like I said, it's gonna be this Badger Tough, and for the attributes we have 2 reds, 1 blue. 48% damage to elites. I'm still trying to get a 55% or higher. So as long as my RNG is not good enough, I'm not gonna get it, right? It all depends on my RNG. We have 4% critical hit chance on the second red and 12,000 health for the blue. For the chest piece, we have the brand new named item, which is gonna be 0Fs. It's a high-end chest piece for the Badger Tough, and with this high-end chest piece named item, we have the perfectly unbreakable. 100% of max armor is repaired when your armor is depleted. Armor kits used within these next 7 seconds are not consumed, can occur once every 60 seconds, and it requires 11 blues and no other active talents affecting armor kits, right? So we have that requirement already achieved, so we good on that. But the difference between perfect unbreakable and just the regular unbreakable is because regular unbreakable will give you only 70%. And a good thing about the perfect unbreakable is because it comes on the Badger Tough. And the Badger Tough chest piece, especially actually any Badger Tough for that matter, if you notice, they do not have any talent. So the chest piece of the Badger Tough is the only piece of the Badger Tough that has a talent, and it's because it is a name item. So that's kind of cool. Now for the chest piece we have 3 attributes, 2 blues and 1 red, 23,000 health, 34,000 armor and 5.5% weapon damage. For the mods we have one offensive mod that gives us 0.5% weapon damage and 5% LMG damage. The defensive mod we have 2,300 armor, 3% total armor and 6,600 health. On the holster is going to be the first Gila Guard, and for this holster we have 2 blues and 2 reds. The nice thing about Gila Guard holster is because they come with 2 attributes on top and also 2 mod slots, and the mod slots usually they're always red, right? And for this holster we have on the 2 blues 11% total health and 42,000 health. So with that said, only on this holster already we're getting a lot of health, and if you notice on this build we're gonna have a total of 193,000 health, and that's gonna help us a lot because we have not 300 armor, which I wish we had, right? But that's good enough because we have the health pool in here to back us up. So on the mods, we're gonna have 2 offensive mods. One has 1.5% weapon damage, 5% LMG damage, and the second has 1.5% weapon damage with another 4% LMG damage. Moving up for the backpack, we have the only Petrov defense on this build, and by having one we get that 10% LMG damage. And then on the attributes we have 3 reds and 1 blue, 9% weapon damage, 7% critical hit damage, 4% critical hit chance, and then for the blue 11,000, basically 12,000 health. The talent is going to be the new talent Spark, damaging enemies with skills or explosives, grant 15% weapon damage for 15 seconds, and requires 9 reds, and that's why I said we need at least 9 reds on this build, which we have 10, so we're good. The second talent is going to be Vital. I wish it was hardened in here, but I'm not going to complain. This backpack is good enough the way it is, so I'll take that, right? But the best option in here would be hardened because we want to have a lot of armor, because we have a lot of armor on kill. The best way would be more armor in here, but that's not bad at all the way we have it right now. For the gloves, we have a Murakami gloves that gives us that 8% health, and the attribute is going to be 1 blue and 1 red, 9,000 health and 11% LMG damage. That's what we need, right? And I wish I had more LMG damage in here, so this build could even hit even harder, right? Because it is possible to be having 13% LMG damage, but I do not have any of those, right? The talent is going to be devastating, 5% weapon damage. That's going to add up to this build. Last but not least, on the knee pads we have the last Gila Guard. By having 2 we're gonna get 20% hazard protection, which is good, but it's not as much important as in PvP. But this is a PvE build, right? It's good in there, but it's not really necessary. It's good on the rates though, but outside of the rates I don't really see use for this, because we don't get much put on fire or on bleed or anything like that, right? But yeah, for the attribute it's gonna be 1 blue, 14,000 armor, which I'm gonna be rolling this a little bit higher. I think I could go even for 18,000 armor, which probably will make this build go close to 300, which is good. And then for the talents on this knee pad we have the hard hitting, the only hard hitting we have on this build, 25% damage to elite. For the mods we have 2 mod slots on the knee pads, and they are going to be defensive mod slots, 3,500 armor, 3.5 total armor and 5% explosive resistance. The second one is 3,500 armor, 4% protection from elite, and 2.5 total armor. So all of these actually very good for the build. Now let's move on for the start of the show, right? Which is gonna be our weapon. It's gonna be the MG5. Now the MG5 is one of my favorite LMGs in the game, always been, because of the RPM. It has a higher RPM compared to any other LMGs. It has one of the lowest damage also, but still on this build, because we have so much damage, our MG5 is gonna hit for 25.6k damage per bullet. The RPM is gonna be 880 and the mag is gonna be 100, because like I said, we're getting 50 rounds from that mag size from the specialization, the gunner. Now there is another weapon, for example the M60, the famous M60. It got a nerf, right? A lot of people, I think, is not using it anymore, but still on this build with the nerf already they got, right, I'm still hitting for 32.7k damage with this M60. I believe if this was not nerf, it would probably around 38, probably almost 40 on this build, right? But with a nerf it got down a lot. It's still good on PVE, but I prefer the MG5 because I don't think the MG5 got touched at all when it comes to like nerf and buffs, right? So I still use my MG5. The talents on it is gonna be unhinged, still a good talent for LMGs though. Receive plus 20% weapon damage at a cost of minus 25% weapon handling, and I'm fine with that. I can control it, I'm good with that. And the second talent is gonna be Allegro, to give us plus 10% rate of fire on top of what we had, right? So that's why we have 880 on this build. Now the third talent is actually very good in here because I love this talent. I use it on my holster talent, which is Unwritten. While equipped, enemy kills have a 5% chance to refresh active skill cooldown, can occur once every 60 seconds. Now if I didn't have this in here, I would probably put it on my pistol. That way I can have it, because this is probably the talent that I run the most on my builds as a holster talent on my sidearm, right? Now to show you guys how I mod this, so on the optic we have this optic right here, the AXP S3, that gives us 8% damage to elite. On the magazine we have the large pouch that I said, it comes from the gunner specialization. It gives you plus 50 rounds on top of what we have. For the underbarrel we have the vertical grip that gives us 10% accuracy, and then for the muzzle we have the muzzle brake that gives us plus 5% damage to elite. Now moving on for the secondary, we actually using the Lullaby. You can use the Lullaby or the Sweet Dreams, whatever, but the reason we're using it is because of the holster talent Invasive. While equipped, dodging reloads 25% of your current weapon magazine. So by having it as a holster talent on the secondary, as long as we have our LMGs with 100 rounds, right, once we dodge we're gonna get 25 rounds reloaded as soon as we dodge, right? So that's good. For the sidearm, I actually have the sidearm for this holster talent right here. Remember I said the LMG gets really all over the place, right? So for that reason we are using the holster talent overlap. While holster gain 5% weapon handling. It's not a lot, but still it's something, you know, to help you out control that LMG, and also to control the reticle bloom close a lot faster. So just a bonus on top of it, right? Now taking a look at the stats, you guys can stop the video if you want. I'm gonna scroll it down a little bit slow, and then we get in here on the weapon. We have for our LMG 25.6k weapon damage, 8% critical hit chance, 32% critical hit damage. We're not focusing too much on the critical hit damage and chance, so we don't care too much about that, but if you get some of that, it's not gonna hurt, right? And also we have 85% headshot damage. The range is gonna be 30, which is very good, and the reload time is going to be 5.5 seconds. For the offensive stats, we have a 43% all weapon damage and a 50% LMG damage. So that's how we get that 93% weapon damage on this build. When you add those two, that's going to be 93. But remember, we're not counting the damage that's coming from the backpack, 15%. So in theory, we're getting a lot more weapon damage on this build. If we add that 15% plus 50 and plus 43%, that's going to be a total of 108% weapon damage on this build, right? So 108% weapon damage once the backpack activates, and that's crazy. That's a lot of amount of damage on the LMG build, right? So that's how I'm getting so much damage. And not only that, right, if you go down here, we have 93% damage to elite. So all of that together, we're gonna be shredding to the elite NPCs like crazy, right? If we go for the defensive stats, we have 285,000 armor, 71,000 armor on kill, 192 max health, 4% protection from elite, and 20% hazard protection. So we have everything that we need on this build for PVE. So guys, this is gonna be the build. I hope you guys enjoyed the build though. Let me know what you guys think of this. The LMGs are not so bad. The MG5 is still a rock. You can still use it on the PVE build. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the build. I'm gonna leave you guys now. Thank you so much for all the support lately, and I appreciate all of that. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit me with that like, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.